Welcome to Global Movies Recap.
Hey guys, in today's movie recap we're discovering a new alien species that takes over a small town. Enjoy. The movie begins with two cops staking out a road as a meteor comes hurling down towards Earth. One of the cops checks the speed of a bird, which greatly intrigues the other, sleeping officer.
It's fascinating.
The two lackadaisical cops completely miss the fact that a meteor just landed not too far behind them. We're treated to a little montage of this lovely little town and its residents before meeting one of the main characters, Starla, at a school. We see her speaking to another teacher before her possessive husband, Grant, swoops in and takes her home. Bill, the police chief, and his colleagues remark about how mismatched of a couple they are. One of them accuses Starla of being a gold digger, but Bill defends her. Back at Grant's home, and later at night, we see him trying to put the moves on Starla, but she's not in the mood. He persists to no avail, until ultimately giving up and deciding to go for a walk. Yeah, right. Grant heads to a bar where he catches the eye of Brenda. She's got a keen interest in him. A few drinks later, and they're having a swell old time in the woods. Brenda takes him to a tree where she carved their initials many years ago, back when she had a crush on him. As things are about to escalate, Grant stops, not wanting to cheat on Starla. Out of the corner of his eye, he notices something strange and slimy on the ground. Whatever it was, it left a trail. Grant and Brenda follow it, finding a strange-looking creature. Grant pokes at it with a stick until it opens up and reveals a spiky little appendage. Suddenly, it shoots out at him and burrows straight into his chest. A horrified Brenda watches on as Grant collapses and the creature burrows deep into his brain. He awakens, but says nothing and walks off. Upon arriving home, he immediately inspects the fridge in search of meat. The next morning, Starla apologizes to Grant, but he's not all there. He examines the room and sees their wedding photos. Yeah, that looks familiar. As they're about to make love, she notices the wound on Grant's chest.
Just a little bug bite.
The following day, Starla's coworkers notice she's rather smiley. She says it's been a while between her and Grant, and that he was different. He was exploring every part of her body. Meanwhile, Grant heads to the supermarket to purchase meat. Yep, gotta have that. How about a truck full? Back at home, Starla notices a lock on the basement door. Upon asking Grant, he tells her he's planning something for her soon-to-be birthday, though she reminds him that that's 2 months away. She walks off and Grant's stomach begins to growl. He heads outside and spots a dog. At night, the couple's preparing to go to the deer cheer, an annual event celebrating the commencement of deer season. As Starla showers, Grant notices his condition is worsening. Something deep inside him is urging him to do something. He walks up on Starla, and 2 tentacles emerge from his chest. As he reaches for the door, he hesitates, not wanting to hurt his dear wife. She notices him watching, and he quickly turns around, hiding the tentacles. He tells her he forgot something at work, and will meet her at the deer cheer. She's bummed out, but hey, at least she's alive. At the deer cheer, Bill notices that Starla is alone, and his fellow officer Wally teases him for never closing the deal with her. On Grant's side of things, he visits Brenda, who's excited to see him. They prepare to do the naughty. When Grant reveals his disease-stricken chest, Brenda looks on with horror as 2 tentacles emerge. She tries to get away, but he forces himself upon her. The tentacles seem to be depositing something into her body. She enters a trance-like state while Grant sits back and enjoys the show. After enjoying a dance with Bill at deer cheer, Starla returns home where she runs into a disfigured Grant. He explains it away as a bad reaction to a bee sting, and that he's already spoken to the family doctor about it. Yeah, a couple ibuprofen ought to clear that up. The next day, we see Starla call the doctor, but he's not seen Grant in a year. On the way home, she sees numerous posters of missing pets around the area. We cut to Grant carrying 2 full trash bags into a barn. Poor Brenda is tied up, begging to be fed.
Brought you munchies.
She eats up voraciously while he pets her head. Back at Grant's house, Bill and Wally pull up and are greeted by Starla. They inform her of Brenda's disappearance and ask to see Grant, but he's not there. They head out and a suspicious Starla decides to inspect the locked basement. She breaks in with a bat and is horrified to find the mangled and rotting bodies of various animals, including the missing pets. Panic overcomes her as she calls Bill, but he doesn't respond. Grant looms just outside the window, more deformed than ever. He screeches at her, and she flees towards the back door, but is intercepted. He accuses her of betraying him while he forces her towards the floor. His tentacles slither down her shirt, but she manages to bash his head in. He quickly recovers and locks her in a chokehold. His arm deforms and slithers around her neck. Just in the nick of time, Bill and his crew barge in and scare Grant off. Majestic. A few days elapse, and the police are scrambling to get a hold of Grant, which they now jokingly refer to as a squid. The mayor advises them to cool it as to not cause hysteria. He postulates that perhaps he merely has Lyme disease.
You touch some deer feces and then you got your Lyme disease.
And that makes you look like a squid.
No, it doesn't. The police station discovered Grant's pattern of attack. They surmise that his next attack will be this family's farm. They're gonna stake out the place until he arrives, and then take him in for questioning. Everybody gears up and heads out. Starla shows up just as Bill is departing and demands to join in. If they intend to bring him in alive, they're gonna need her to bait him in. Bill reluctantly agrees. Night falls, and nothing interesting has happened yet. Starla and Bill sit together and reminisce about the time she tried to run away with him when they were kids. She wanted to be a Hollywood star, and he was supposed to be her bodyguard. Suddenly, Grant appears. Well, you can hardly call him Grant at this point. He slices a cow's throat and begins to drag it off. Bill looks on, frozen in place. Starla decides to take action and approaches Bill as the others circle around, guns locked and loaded. She manages to calm him down, reminding him that marriage is a sacred vow and that she pledges to stay by his side for better or for worse. Unfortunately, this hothead ruins everything when he waves. They follow suit and come across a barn emanating a putrid smell. Bill leans his ear against the door and hears a woman in agony. They bust down the door to find a ballooned up Brenda.
What's going on here, exactly?
She complains about her insatiable hunger and asks Bill to give her a piece of possum. Tasty. Things take a turn for the worse when her insides start to move around. Within moments, her skin begins to tear before bursting and letting loose hundreds, if not thousands, of little slithering alien worms. They attack the crew and burrow into their mouths. Though, a few of them smarten up and cover up. They ride out the storm until the worms scurry off. We cut to the family's house from earlier as the worms show up. Kylie, their eldest daughter, is enjoying a delightful bath. One of the worms crawls in through the window and makes its way into the tub. It slithers and squirms towards her, but she notices it and hops out. A little tug of war ensues as Kylie tries to pull the worm out of her mouth. During their struggle, she sees visions of the aliens' experiences on other planets, as well as Grant's recent escapades. She pulls and finally gets it out, throwing it across the wall. It crawls back, but a resourceful Kylie uses her hair iron to cook it to a crisp. She runs out of the bathroom and calls for her mother. She appears, vomiting blood on Kylie. Kylie checks up on her sisters, but they too have been infected. She makes it out onto the roof, then hops off before fleeing into a car. Unfortunately, she ain't got a key. The worms engulf the car, trapping Kylie in darkness. Meanwhile, Bill heads back to the family's house and leaves Starla his shotgun. Her and the others tend to the fallen officers. After some time, Wally awakens and approaches Starla. He begins to speak, and while it is Wally's voice, it's Grant pulling the strings. It seems the alien creature operates as a sort of hive mind. He apologizes for his actions and explains that it's simply in his nature. The other officers awaken and restrain the female cop. Starla readies her shotgun, demanding Grant to stop. He calls her on her bluff, but she's game and proceeds to blow off zombie Wally's head. As the others encroach, she fires again, but to her dismay, is out of bullets. Plan B, running. Back at the house, the zombified family is attempting to break into the car when Bill arrives. Kylie dashes out and meets Bill at his side. Suddenly, the pair is flanked from behind by several zombies. They manage to dodge their attacks and flee towards Bill's car. As they drive away, Bill spots Starla and Jack running. Bill runs over one of the zombies and Starla brutally finishes it off. Everyone gets in the car and the group heads back into town. During the drive, Bill hits up Shelby and tells her to get the CDC on the line. Unfortunately, she has other matters to tend to. Kylie shares the vision she had, stating that she became part of the creature momentarily. As the crew pulls into town, Grant calls in having assumed Shelby's now zombified body. He tells them he has a surprise waiting for them, just around the corner. Cheeky. As Bill comes to, he hears droves of zombies calling out for Starla. They reach in and drag out her unconscious body. He exits the vehicle, but then helps save Kylie as she awakens. Unfortunately, Jack isn't so lucky. The pair take shelter behind some bushes outside the police station. Bill reasons that if he kills Grant, the rest will die. He sneaks in and searches for that one grenade they confiscated a while back. While he's in there, he attempts to call for backup, but then finds himself in the sights of a zombie deer. It charges, thrashing him around as Kylie watches on through the window. Bill is getting absolutely handled by this demonic deer, until Kylie steps in and takes care of business. He retrieves the grenade, and then we cut to Starla being gracefully carried into bed and cleaned up by the zombies. Back outside, Bill notices that the zombies are all heading towards Grant's house. He follows suit as Starla awakens, now donning a slim nightgown. Realizing that there's no way out, she takes her hairbrush and turns it into a weapon. Starla walks around the house before entering the living room and finding a now gargantuan and furious Grant. Meanwhile, Bill and Kylie watch on in the backyard. Due to her visions, Kylie recognizes the bulging mass as Grant. They witness a zombie fusing into him. Bill catches a glimpse of Starla, empowering him to charge in. Kylie follows along. In the house, Grant is berating Starla for betraying him. He can no longer use his own voice, so he makes use of the zombies attached to him. She tells him she's sorry and promises they'll be together. Starla moves in for a kiss, but then pulls out her makeshift knife and stabs him in the throat. He easily tosses her aside and strangles her. before Bill arrives, proudly raising his grenade up high. Well, so much for that. Bill desperately tries to retrieve the grenade, but it ends up going kablooey in the pool. Plan B, die. Grant pierces him with one of his tentacles, but Bill manages to attach the other one to a propane tank. He opens the valve and fills Grant up as he's dragged back into the house. With his last ounce of strength, Bill tells Starla to shoot him. She obliges. Everyone lives happily ever after. Just kidding. All the infected people die. Bill survives though. Kylie explains that you need 2 tentacles in you to get transformed into a womb. The 3 survivors walk off into the sunset.
Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. I'll be back with another interesting movie recap. Until then, take care.